Introduction. The legend begins. In the quiet town of Loveland, Ohio, nestled along the banks of the Little Miami River, a strange legend has persisted for nearly 70 years. A legend so bizarre, so unsettling, that it continues to spark curiosity, debate, disbelief, and fascination even today. This is the story of the Loveland Frogman, also known as the Loveland Frog or Loveland Lizard. Described as a humanoid frog-like creature standing roughly 4 feet tall, walking upright like a man, and possessing leathery skin and unnatural intelligence, the Loveland Frogman is one of America's most unusual cryptids. Unlike many legends that rely solely on anonymous witnesses or blurry photographs, this story includes something far rarer in cryptid lore: police reports, sworn testimony, and decades of conflicting explanations. Is the Loveland Frogman a misunderstood animal, a hoax exaggerated by time, or something far stranger lurking in the shadows of Ohio's waterways? To understand the mystery, we must return to where it all began. Chapter 1. The First Sightings, 1955. The earliest known accounts of the Loveland Frogman date back to 1955. According to legend, a businessman, sometimes described as a traveling salesman, was driving late at night along a dark, unnamed road near the town of Loveland. The hour was late. The road was quiet. The headlights cut through the darkness as the car moved forward. Then, suddenly, something appeared. The driver reported seeing 3 figures standing upright along the side of the road. They were not human. Each creature stood between 3 and 4 feet tall, with leathery reptilian skin and faces resembling frogs. Even more disturbing, they were standing on their hind legs like humans. The man slowed down, stunned by what he was seeing. In some versions of the story, the creatures were seen near a poorly lit bridge. In others, they were spotted directly on the roadside. One version includes a detail that would become legendary. One of the creatures was holding a wand-like object raised above its head, emitting sparks of light. Terrified, the driver sped away, later recounting his experience to others. At the time, the story circulated quietly, treated as little more than a strange local tale. But the seed of the legend had been planted, and it would resurface with far more serious consequences nearly 2 decades later. Chapter 2. The 1972 Police Encounter. On March 3, 1972, at approximately 1 a.m., the Loveland Frogman legend changed forever. Loveland police officer Ray Shockey was on routine patrol, driving along Riverside Drive near the Totes Boot Factory and the Little Miami River. The night was calm. Then, suddenly, something moved. An unidentified creature scurried across the road directly in front of his vehicle. Shockey slammed on the brakes. The animal was fully illuminated by his headlights. According to his report, the creature was 3 to 4 feet long, weighed approximately 50 to 75 pounds, and had leathery skin. What shocked him most was its posture. The creature was crouched like a frog, but then, incredibly, it stood up on its hind legs. Officer Shockey watched it as it climbed over the guardrail, moving toward the river below before disappearing into the darkness. He later described the experience as deeply unsettling. This was no ordinary animal. Chapter 3. The Second Officer and the Shot Heard Around Loveland. 2 weeks later, the story took an even stranger turn. Another Loveland police officer, Mark Matthews, reported seeing a similar creature in the same area. This time, the encounter ended violently. Matthews saw an unidentified animal crouched along the roadside. Believing it posed a potential threat, he shot the creature. The animal was killed. Matthews retrieved the body and placed it in the trunk of his patrol car, intending to show it to Officer Shockey. When he examined the body more closely, Matthews realized something unusual. It appeared to be a large iguana measuring around 3 to 3.5 feet long. However, there was one major detail. It was missing its tail. This detail, Matthews explained, made it difficult to identify at first glance. Matthews speculated that the iguana was likely an exotic pet that either escaped or was released once it grew too large. According to Matthews, Officer Shockey later viewed the dead iguana and confirmed that it was the same creature he had seen 2 weeks earlier. If true, this explanation seemed to solve the mystery. Or did it? Chapter 4. Controversy and Omissions. Years later, Matthews recounted the incident to an author writing a book about urban legends. But according to Matthews, something crucial was left out. He claimed the author omitted the part where the creature was identified as an iguana, instead allowing the Frogman legend to live on. This omission fueled decades of speculation. Critics argue that a tailless iguana could easily be mistaken for something unnatural, especially at night, under headlights, and in a moment of surprise. Believers, however, point to several unanswered questions. Why would a tropical iguana survive Ohio winters? Why did it appear to stand upright? Why did Officer Shockey describe it as crouching like a frog, not crawling like a lizard? And what about the earlier sightings from 1955? The debate was far from over. Chapter 5. The Legend Returns, 2016. In 2016, the Loveland Frogman made headlines once again. A couple playing Pokémon Go near the Little Miami River claimed to see a frog-like creature standing on its hind legs. The story quickly spread online. WCPO-TV reached out to Mark Matthews for comment. His response was blunt. "It's like Bigfoot and all that other stuff. I don't believe in Bigfoot either." To skeptics, this reinforced the iguana explanation. To believers, it sounded like dismissal, not proof. Chapter 6. Skeptical Investigations. Organizations like Snopes and Skeptoid have investigated the Loveland Frogman legend extensively. Their conclusions largely align with skepticism. No physical evidence remains, no photographs or videos from the original sightings. Exotic pet iguanas were increasingly common in the 1970s. Iguanas can lose their tails, making identification difficult. However, skeptics also acknowledge that the story's endurance is unusual. Few cryptid legends involve multiple police officers, official reports, and decades of retellings. Chapter 7. The Frogman in Pop Culture. Regardless of its origins, the Loveland Frogman has become a cultural icon. Literature. James Renner's novel, The Man from Primrose Lane, features a version of the creature, blending science fiction with mystery. The Frogman also appears in Mothman is My Boyfriend, 10 Tales of Cryptid Love and Lust, a short story collection scheduled for release in 2026. Musical theater. In 2014, the legend was adapted into a musical titled Hot Damn, It's the Loveland Frog. The show premiered at the Cincinnati Fringe Festival, proving that even cryptids can sing and dance. Film. In 2023, a found footage film titled Frogman, directed by Anthony Cousins, brought the legend to the big screen. The movie was praised as one of the most unsettling indie creature features of the year. Video games. In Fallout 76, players have a 3% chance of encountering the Loveland Frog during random events. Chapter 8. A cryptid becomes a mascot. In 2023, Loveland did something unexpected. Instead of distancing itself from the legend, the city embraced it. The Loveland Frogman became the official city mascot. Dressed as a frog prince, the character debuted at the city's Hearts Afire weekend celebration and now appears at community events. What was once feared is now celebrated. Conclusion: myth, mistake, or mystery? So what is the Loveland Frogman? An misidentified iguana? A product of exaggeration and folklore? Or something we still don't fully understand? Perhaps the truth lies somewhere in between. The Loveland Frogman reminds us that even in modern times, mystery still exists. It shows how stories evolve, how fear and imagination intertwine, and how legends can become part of a town's identity. Whether you believe in cryptids or not, one thing is certain. The Loveland Frogman has leaped its way into American folklore, and it's not hopping away anytime soon.